it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this absolutely beautiful happy birthday wrap. This is a happy and easy little piece that you can crochet. We're going to just use one cake of yarn for this project, and the color gradients of this, and we'll talk about the yarn in a minute, are just absolutely stunning. It looks like fun and festive confetti. This year, Fiberflux is celebrating its 9th birthday. I just cannot believe how quickly the time has gone by and how much fun we've had along the way. But I wanted to make a project that would kind of commemorate this fun birthday occasion and celebrate it, of course, with yarn. So this is a triangle wrap. We're going to start from the bottom point, work our way up. And this is, again, just one cake of yarn. So this is all just color gradients of the yarn that we'll be using. And if you've made some pieces of mine on the Fiberflux blog and channel, you may notice or recognize this double V stitch that I like to use. It's such a beautiful lacy stitch, but it's so super duper easy. So let's talk about sizing next. Our wrap's dimensions are, if we take the bottom point and go straight up the middle, it is 28 inches. Now this is with one yarn cake. If you want to use 2 yarn cakes, which we'll talk about those in just a minute, obviously your piece will be bigger. Or if you use different yarn and hook, which you can easily do with this project. If we go up the side of our triangle here, that is about 36 inches. And then if you go along the top edge of our wrap, of their triangle here, it's about 64 inches. So just to give you an idea of the dimensions. Now you can easily change the dimensions by simply working more rows of the pattern. As you work each row, your piece will grow in width at the top, and it will also grow in height as well. So let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a tapestry needle, a pair of scissors. We're going to be using a 4mm G crochet hook. As a side note, this is my Furls Streamline. I can put the link down below if you're interested in this hook. This is a hook I enjoy using. And then the yarn. This is a new yarn from Red Heart called It's a Wrap Sprinkles. Now, It's a Wrap has been around for a little bit, but they have a new one called It's a Wrap Sprinkles. And this yarn cake has lots of colors, and each strand of this is multiple pieces of like a soft thread-like material, and it allows for some nice pretty blending. Now I have the Sunday colorway, and it has some teal, some hot pink, some purple, and some kind of like a sky blue color. It comes in lots of different colorways, and this is a super fine, or a 1 on the yarn weight scale. And it does recommend a 2.75mm C crochet hook, but I'm going to take it up a few sizes because I want to get a nice open kind of drapey look to this shawl. And I'm going to be using one of these. Now you get a lot of yarn in one of these cakes. Each one of these is 623 yards, 570 meters, and this is 50% acrylic, 50% cotton. So it's a nice warm weather weight and nice warm weather fibers as well. So let's get started. So our yarn cake is a really handy center pull ball of yarn. So we're going to pull a little bit out to begin and grab our hook. And what we're going to do is put a slip knot on our hook to begin. So you want to take the yarn down the front of your hand, wrap it around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Next, we're going to chain 7. So let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing up close a little bit more. So like I said, we're going to chain 7. So to make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So if you're having trouble with the tightness of your chain, just go up a hook size for your starting chain, and then you can go back down to the G hook for the rest of the pattern. Okay, so let's begin row 1. So in the 5th chain from the hook, we're going to work our first little fan. So this loop here does not count. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this chain right here, we're going to work our first fan, and that's going to be 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. Okay, so to make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert it into that chain that we talked about before, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Now with this thread, just make sure when you're bringing it through the loops and hooking it that you are grabbing all of those threads, okay? Now do that one more time in that same chain, work a double crochet. So we're going to do 2 double crochets here. So bring it through the first 2 loops, bring it through the last 2 loops, then we're going to chain 1, and then in that same chain still, we're going to work 2 more double crochet. So double crochet, whoops, and a double crochet, just like that. So that is going to give us our very first fan of our row, okay? And we are going to be building outward and upward, okay? It's going to be a triangle shape, kind of like a rounded bottom triangle. Okay, now we're going to skip a chain, and in that very last chain, we're going to do the same thing. 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, okay? So work your first double crochet, 1 and 2, then chain 1, then work 2 double crochet on that same chain. So 1 and 2. Okay, so row 1 is already complete. It goes by really quickly, and we have 2 little fans to begin. Okay, so let's move on to row 2. Now row 2 is the row that you're going to finish and be repeating for the whole entire pattern. So I'm going to show you how to do row 2, and then you can just continue on with the rest of the shawl. Okay, so let's get a little tiny bit more yarn, and then what we're going to do is chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn our work. Next, we're going to locate that first fan. Remember that fan that we made with the 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet? We're going to go into the center of that fan in that chain 1 space and work our next fan. So remember, that was with 2 double crochet, 1. I'm going nice and slow, so I make sure I catch all those threads, and 2, and then chain 1, and then 2 more double crochet to make our fan. So 1 double crochet and 2. And I just wanted to point out as a side note that even though we are on the teal portion of our yarn here, see how the center is teal? We have changed like a secondary color thread is running through here, like a secondary color thread. So I have like a light peach, I have some purple, some pink running through here, so it's really fun to work with. Okay, next we're going to hop over to the next fan, and we're going to do the same thing. Work a fan into that chain 1 space. So remember, chain 2 double crochet, 1. Whoops, let's try that again. Sometimes you can drop your stitch, and that's okay. Okay, so let's try that again. So in this chain 1 space, we're going to work a double crochet. Okay, hop over to the next fan, that chain 1 space, and we're going to do the same thing. Work 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, chain 1, and then work 2 double crochet all in that same chain 1 space. Okay, so now we have 2 fans, and they're stacked on top of the fans from the previous row. And then what we need to do to finish off the row is look for that turning chain space. So here is our fan. There's 2 double crochets in the chain 1. Now if you look all the way to the side, you see that turning chain, and that creates a space. See that space that it creates? And you're going to work a fan into that turning chain space. So once again, work 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, chain 1 and then 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. And once again, we're back to a pink little thread through our teal, and it's so fun. It's just such a fun yarn. Okay, so it's going to kind of look like, so you can see your fans. Let me move my hook so you can see it a little bit better. So here's the bottom of our shawl, and you can see how these fans are starting to build outward and upward. And it doesn't look like a whole lot now, but as we work more and more rows by repeating row 2 over and over and over again, it's going to create this wide and tall shawl, and you're going to get this nice pretty little kind of scallop along the top of it. So let's repeat row 2. I'll just get you started on that. So we're going to once again chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work, and then locate that first fan, and in that chain 1 space in the center of the fan, work 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Chain 1. Let me grab a little bit more yarn here, and 2 double crochet. All in that same chain 1 space. 1 and 2. Hop over to the next fan, and you can see they're starting to stack on top of one another. So go in that chain 1 space once again and work 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Chain 1 and 2 double crochet on that chain 1 space. So 1 and 2, just like that. Hop over to the next fan, do the same thing. In that chain 1 space, work 2 double crochet. 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochet. Okay, and then the same thing we did last time, we're going to go into that turning chain space. Remember, it's off to the side. You might have to like sort of pull it apart away from that fan a little bit and work your last fan in that turning chain space. So 2 double crochet. 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Okay, so I just repeated row 2 just to show you one more time. Okay, so to finish your shawl, you're just going to be repeating row 2 over and over and over until your shawl is as wide and as tall as you'd like it to be. Now I'm going to continue and work through my entire yarn cake, so we're going to get some fun color changes. But all you have to do is just repeat row 2 over and over and over again. So we're going to rejoin in just a bit, and I'm going to show you how to finish up your shawl. Coming up to the last stitch of our wrap. And let me just zoom out a little bit because this is such a dazzling display of color. We started at this aqua down here at the bottom and then continued up, and it turned into pink and then into purple, and then finally at the top edge it was like a nice beautiful like oceany blue. It's just such a gorgeous piece, and I'm just loving the way it turned out. So the last thing we need to do, and I got all twisty here, is to weave our ends in. So all we need to do is to, let me just get my hook back in there. We're just going to fasten off. So grab your scissors, and I just want to show you, I used the entire cake of this. I had a little tiny bit and it wasn't enough to do another row. So just take it as far as you can, and then we're going to cut that yarn. Wrap the yarn around the hook and just pull it through like that to fasten off. Grab your tapestry needle. And this is totally reversible, so just be mindful when you're weaving your ends in that things don't show on either side. And when you have multicolor projects like this, we have a blue tail, so we don't want to go too far down into this purple section here. So just try to keep it along the edge here and go nice and neat, go in between the stitches. Try not to let it show on either side, like that. And go in one direction. And it's a fine yarn, so it's kind of delicate, so just take your time with it. We're going to go one direction. Let me just zoom in so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. And then we're going to come back in the other direction. Sometimes I go in between the plies. That kind of keeps it snug in place here. So go one direction, come back in the other direction, and then just give it a little snip with your scissors. And then if you used one cake like me, you'll only have 2 tails to weave in. So we're just going to go to the bottom here. And we just have this bottom tail to weave in as well. So just thread your tapestry needle once again. And like I mentioned before, now this little section is bigger because it's the narrow part of the wrap. But we're just going to keep this teal or aqua, whatever you want to call it, turquoise tail in this turquoise section of our shawl. Go one direction, come back in the other direction with those plies, just like that. And then we're going to, once again, give it a little snip with our scissors. And I gotta say, I love how my scissors and my hook are matching my project. Okay, and then just give it a little trim. So our wrap is complete and it looks stunning. I just love it. It's going to be such a fun wrap to wear or to gift. This is a nice little gift project as well. It's just one cake of yarn. So that is how you crochet the happy birthday wrap. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.